Futsal is a kind of new in my football domain, and I'm excited to find out more about it, given what the women did this past weekend. And we're going to talk about it in about 15 minutes with Kyt Selaidopoulos, who is not only the Forge assistant coach, but he is the head coach of the men's team for Canada. And he'll answer some questions. I'm sure we've got many questions about what exactly is futsal. I've seen it around for years and years and years, but now it's a relevant part of Canadian soccer. And the Canadian soccer zeitgeist.
If they didn't win, would we be talking about it?
That's a great point as well.
I think we would be, Forrest. I think we're talking about it more because they won, but they would have all, had they lost that final, they still would have qualified for the Futsal Women's World Cup.
What would have happened if they hadn't qualified? Would we be talking about it?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Winning
a
matters,
couple of
right?
tears.
Yes,
We're talking about winning matters. We're talking about this all week, with certain MLS teams in Canada and how winning would change a lot of things. So winning is important to get your message out. By the way, on that, a couple of I don't want to go too much more in the TFC thing. We've done it a lot this week, but just some comments I saw. Where are we here? So the first one was from our boy Tony Iacoviello of Forge Supporters Group. He says, last season, Ozo was decent enough to approach the supporter section and stood to take an earful from frustrated fans a long way from that moment. And I remember Ozo doing it last year, which was very impressive. He goes, in Hamilton, by the way, Forge equals 4 trophies and $5 beers before kickoff. Just
they know how to do it.
They do.
Yes.
That's a great point, Tony, because we discussed that before. What a great idea that is. We also got that whole story of the banner gates kind of evolving a little bit. I'm not sure if you saw this, but we had a comment from Peter Badowski who says, you guys screwed this up. Not for the first time we screwed something up. He says, there was another black banner with swearing that got ripped down minutes later. So there was some banners with inappropriate language, which is fair enough. Also, I'm hearing too that...
Did it say fuck or frick?
Or frig.
Frig.
That's right.
F-R-I-G.
Frig.
But there's also some talk I'm hearing now that there was a sanction on that particular fan group for behavior last week at the ground for smashing up some seats, and they were banned from having their capo and the banners, and some of the other fan groups joined them in solidarity with no banners, but then they brought banners anyway and they were removed. So this whole story is, I guess, evolving. Perhaps you move on, but there's perhaps more to it than just removing the banners. But regardless, the point of the matter is TFC aren't playing very well. The fans are really, really angry, and the club seems to be a little bit, as they have been for a long, long time, removed from the emotion and the passion of the club. So that stands true. But if you know more about this story, let us know, because the club's come out with nothing. So let us know.
But for the people who are moaning about God, not TFC again, I think to not talk about it would be silly. You have to address, I think, what happened between the fans and them protesting and the unrest relative to the organization and the ownership. You have to address it. I think if you're a podcast talking about Canadian football, it'd be dumb to not talk about it.
Yeah, no, you're right, Dubs. Yeah, we shouldn't apologize for this kind of stuff when, you're talking about a certain team too much. No, if that is the story of the week, you're going to hammer it.
I think there is a big point, though, that the story of the week isn't TFC and Bannergate. It is Jesper Parnevik, the old golfer, coming on to Footy Prime. No, that the head coach of Vancouver Whitecaps will be joining us tomorrow. So that's the big story of the week.
The big story. And again, some questions for you, Jesper. And maybe the first question, is it Jesper or Jesper?
Yeah,
I think it's Jesper.
And I also threw in that the last MLS match before the June 1st final for CONCACAF Champions Cup is being played at 9:30 on the 31st of May. If you saw that little WhatsApp I threw in today. So Craig said to me, they're not playing that, are they? And I said, I don't know. I just something to talk about. So anyways.
No, that'll be rescheduled.
Okay. That's
Maybe
what I pardon me?
Maybe they won't reschedule it.
We're so good.
Fix the congestion nowadays. It's getting crazy.
Yeah. Playing every day now.
Yeah. Feels that way, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, listen, Barcelona Inter Milan played a match last night. Holy crap. One of the classic semifinals ever in the Champions League. With Inter Milan getting to their second Champions League final in 3 years. 4-3 winners, 13 goals over both legs. Just I think epic is probably the right word to use for this one. Incredible, Craig. Two teams that still, I don't think, get the respect they deserve in the current football climate, because Barca's got all these financial issues, registration issues. Inter Milan playing the Serie A, which is clamoring for more and more respect, but they're a legitimate world force. But overall, man, if you're a football fan, that was the match to watch.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was amazing because when they went 2-0 down at home to Inter, they come back to 2-2, then 3-2 down, 3-3 finished, like just an absolute classic. Didn't expect to see that many goals in the second leg. And then Inter jump out to another 2-0 lead. So they're 4-2 up. Barcelona come back to 4-4, then take the lead for the very first time in the tie. Late in the game, you're thinking, that's it. Barcelona done it. Then in the 94th minute, Inter tie it up, take it to extra time, and win it. Place went absolutely bonkers. Couldn't believe it. You get some high-scoring games in European football, don't you?
Usually involving Barcelona. It seems like,
yeah,
doesn't it?
Yeah.
So Inter Milan into the final again, and if a team's fan base deserves a trophy, it might be them. I guess Arsenal might be arguing that point, but I mean, the Serie A has been maligned for a long time. It's bounced back a little bit in the last few years, I think. Yeah. But Inter Milan have been flying that flag pretty high for some time, and Simone Inzaghi has to be one of the great coaches right now in world football. And long may he stay there, Dubs.
Yeah, I think I heard somebody describe Inter Milan as a team of misfits and rejects, which I think is probably a little bit harsh and unfair. But if you look at them compared to Barcelona, and I mean, I think Acerbi, is that how you say his name? Or Acerbi?
It's Acerbi.
30, yeah, Acerbi.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Acerbi. Yeah, Acerbic wit as well on the center back. But like that goal, like he finds himself up there and he scores this brilliant goal in the front post after, is it Thuram who finds the energy late in the game where he looked like he was dead in the water to cross that ball across. And for him to score at the age that he is, he's like 20 years Yamal's senior. Right. So I think it perfectly encapsulates kind of the team and what they're up against. And the commentator, again, I was rewatching some of it because I watched most of the second half and the extra time. And then we had to leave for soccer practice and I saw the result later. So I watched the highlights this morning to make sure I didn't miss anything. And the commentator, I think it was after Rafinha scores. So they have the lead for the first time, I think, over the course of the two legs. Right. Because in both of those matches, they were 2-0 down at first. So like Forrest said, like not just the second leg, but the first leg as well. They were 2-0 down really, really early on. So they finally have the lead and then they're surging forward as you get into stoppage time. And I think the commentator says, perhaps they should play a more, reserved style of football, but I'm not sure they know how to do that. And it's true. So like these two opposing tactical approaches and philosophies of play, but everybody rising to the occasion. So it was brilliant chaos. Like it's everything you hope for as a fan of the game. And I think it's good to see Inter go through. And you're right. Like I think you sometimes bemoan the style of play that you see across Serie A, but I think fully deserved for them.
And how about Jan Sommer, Craig, by the way?
Oh,
this guy's been around. He's 36. For some reason, I thought he'd be older than that because he's been around for, it seems, so long. He's with Borussia Mönchengladbach for a long time and had a little cup of tea at Bayern Munich. But he's known more for every World Cup for Switzerland. He's amazing.
Yeah, he's played. How many World Cups has he played in? It must be a few.
He's 94 caps. Good question. How many? I wonder if I can find this out.
Because he seems to show up every 4 years. And, hey, there he is again. Switzerland.
Yeah. Seems
solid,
that way.
Solid goalkeeper.
Yeah, he's been around. 2005 is when his professional career started, I think.
Mm-hmm. Not overly. Go ahead.
Sorry, Forrest. He's been with the senior team, the Swiss national team, since 2012.
Okay. You know, so okay, 2014 was his first World Cup, so just the 3 World Cups.
You might get another couple the way he's going.
Yeah, he might. He might. But yeah, what a great advertisement for soccer yesterday. And I don't know. To me, Inter Milan have to be the favorite, whoever they end up playing.
I think we have to almost do 2 podcasts. We have to do one where Arsenal wins, and then we could talk about Arsenal and Inter. And then we have to do one if PSG wins. So, yay, Arsenal!
Yay. No, let's not get
congratulations.
But a few of those saves for us, to go back to Summer, like he kept his team in the match. There was one that was like a certain finish. The net was just gaping, and he comes across, gets a paw to it, and he had that other great save to his right, where he's able to parry it away. But I mean, if a couple of those go in, then we're not talking about Inter Milan. Right?
Yeah,
it's Barcelona who goes through. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and Barcelona had only given up 2 goals in first halves all season 5 times. 2 of those were to Inter in this tie. Both legs.
We're getting close to the end of the season. I can't believe it. Champions League final is just around the corner. We've got 3 games left domestically in European football. Right, Jimmy?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, we just sit back and watch CPL and MLS all summer. And, of course, the Gold Cup, which is approaching. Well, Jimmy, this summer, you're probably involved in some kind of coaching with someone. What are you looking forward to this summer? Is it Gold Cup? Is it He Believes Cup? What is it?
Gold Cup. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the Gold Cup. Only because I think it's our time, with this national team squad. They've talked about trophies, and I don't think there's a better time for them than this Gold Cup that's coming up with the squad that we have. So I'm looking forward to it. And it's going to be great. I mean, there's more teams in it. You can see with CONCACAF now, it's getting better. The other teams in the region are producing players, playing better brands of football now. It's more competitive. So I'm looking forward to the Gold Cup.
We have an update, by the way, regarding ticket pricing. Our boy Dave DeCola of the Supporters Club, he actually tweeted this to us a while back, and I was going to get to it, and I completely forgot. And then he just gave us hell for not mentioning it this week, because it is very, very apt. So DDC, I'm so sorry. But here you go. And he goes, you can talk about the He Believes Cup ticket prices. First tickets are up for sale with 2-day double-header tickets at a cost of $100. These are for seats in the V section, which are typically the cheapest in the stadium, V's being the Voyagers. A little higher than I would like, but understandable for 4 games. Last week, they started selling single-day double-header ticks. The Tuesday ticks are $70, which seems high, but the kicker, Saturday's ticks are $100, the same as the 2-day ticks. WTF. MLSC has something to do with this series, as the sales are through the TFC portal on Ticketmaster, not directly through Ticketmaster. Maybe too many hands in the pies. You're welcome, Shams.
So hold on, let me understand that. So it's $100 for a doubleheader?
Yeah.
So $50 a match for international football.
No, $100. Oh, yes, right.
Right?
But it's still $100. Yeah.
It's not bad, is it?
Good math, Jimmy.
No, you're right. It's not as
bad.
criminal as we first were led to believe by Sharm's take.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going by yourself, but what if you're going with your family?
Well, then international football is not for you, Forrest. You can't go. Well, no one can go unless
no, but
go.
These are $100 per. Yeah, right. So double headers, but I don't know if you can. You can't just buy a ticket for one game, though. I don't think.
No, probably not.
But maybe they'll release that a little bit closer to the tournament.
Release what? Sorry.
Single match tickets. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. It seems a bit pricey to me for friendly. I mean, they're friendlies as well. Don't forget. I know they're going to get. Will there be a trophy for this?
Yes,
I would think so.
There will be.
I hope it's pink.
Yeah, it better be pink.
No, gold, pink, gold,
pink. Rose.
What do they call it? Rose gold.
Rose gold.
Yes.
Are we got a guest now? We have. Well, let's bring him on. As mentioned earlier, we have.
Is he here?
Is he there? Kyt, are you there?
Is he in the closet?
Where is he?
Witness protection.
What's going on here?
I don't know.
If you're okay, knock 3 times.
puts the lotion in the basket.
Great.
Are you in a well in the basement of someone's house right now, Kyt?
Could you guys hear me?
There we go.
There he
Thank God.
is.
Thank God. You're okay, Kyt, right? You're okay? You're
Yeah.
not in trouble right now. If you are, like I said, just let us know somehow. And do the wave.
No, I'm doing great. Thank you.
And you stopped driving. You pulled over.
Yes, I did stop driving.
Okay, good.
You weren't pulled over. You pulled over yourself. That's good to know. Kyt Selaidopoulos, as mentioned, Forrest assistant coach and head coach of the men's futsal team. Kyt, thanks for coming back to the show. All right, so it was a really important moment over the weekend with Canada's women's futsal team winning the CONCACAF Championship, qualifying for the World Cup. Now, we had a conversation about this earlier this week, and I fully acknowledge I know nothing about futsal, but I'm about to learn about futsal. It's becoming important. Can you just let us know globally where futsal is? I know in Europe and South America it's big. It's really big. Just how big is it compared to the more traditional game that we know?
In all those countries you just mentioned, Europe and the rest of the world is pretty big. Pretty much every club has a futsal structure through it. But here in Canada, we're still trying to convince people and try to get people to play the sport and actually understand the sport and what it brings to a football player.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what does it bring to a football player? Explain to us. Sell it to us.
Well, we just finished coming back from Guatemala and looking at these girls play from other countries. Their technical side is like unbelievable. Our technical side is very average. And I think playing futsal could bring a technical side to our football players that could match different things into a football field. So I think it's a tool that we can use. I think we have the space, we have the gymnasiums, we have the weather. Everything's in our favor to try to push futsal going forward. And I'm a big believer that I played indoor soccer. So it helped me a lot for my outdoor game back in the days. But again, I think futsal right now is at a space where we can use it to make our football players better.
Kyt, when you watch around the world and you see some of the top players playing futsal, Neymar is a prime example. You see videos of him when he was younger playing. How does it work? Do they continue playing 11v11 and in a futsal league at the same time, or do the seasons not overlap? Like, how does it work?
No, you become a futsal player. So a lot of these players that don't make it in the big European leagues keep on playing futsal because the leagues exist. Us in our country, when you guys go sign your kids to play soccer, you don't sign them up to play at a futsal club. You sign them up to play at a soccer club. But in other countries, you have a futsal club specific. So players could pick what they want to play accordingly to where they fit best.
Mm.
Kyt, you mentioned playing indoor. So you played for the Montreal Impact back in 2004, back when we started to get to know each other. I worked for one of your soccer camps that's still running now, 20 years plus, in Montreal. But you played for teams in the indoor league like Cleveland Force, Milwaukee Wave, Toronto, or Detroit Ignition. So how do you translate, like, it's maybe piggybacking on Jimmy's question, where how do you get the buy-in from parents, from organizations to get the funding and the backing for futsal? So how does it translate to 11v11? Like, you talked about the technical aspect, but I can see how indoor soccer immediately will pay off and you can translate that to a bigger pitch. But what's the sell for futsal? Is it purely on the technical, or are you going to have players who are just going to exist in a futsal space and not in the 11v11 space? Or do you see it as something that needs to dovetail together in Canada in order to see kind of the fruits of all the labor on the biggest of stages?
I think that the futsal is a smaller game of a football game. And if we break down the whole soccer pitch, you'll get futsal courts all over the place. So the 2v2, the 4v4, all these things exist in football. So I don't understand why people don't just help each other and get players better. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the player. It's all about how we make players better, that it's on the female side or on the men's side. How do we develop more players to play at higher levels, get them in our national teams so our national teams could be better? And I'm a believer that if we all work together, at one point, yes, there will be a separation, and we will have football players and we will have futsal players. Today, in the both programs, men and women, we use football players to play futsal. And all these players play 5-6 months out of the year futsal in gymnasiums, but their main sport is football. So our technical plan, like the technical plan of the futsal national team, is based on a football technical plan. Like that's how we sell it to players. Like that's how they understand a little bit more. Now, bringing in the parents and the organizations, I'm a believer that for the organizations, it's too much work. So why would they go to futsal when already they're struggling to get football done correctly? And for the parents, it's a sale, right? Today in the province of Quebec, we have more than 10,000 kids that play futsal in the school year. But that's only in Quebec. We don't have that in Ontario. We don't have that in Vancouver. We don't have that in Saskatchewan. So it's a sale, but like we should get there at some point. I don't know when, but
it definitely should be part of the training regime for any football team. When you look at the South Americans and how they can unlock at the top of the box when you're playing in a phone booth, you know, when you're playing futsal, you have to be able to do that. And it really does translate really, really well.
So to be clear then, Kyt, so your players in the national team, they're not playing futsal at club level. They're playing traditional football. And then you're recruiting from that system.
Correct. So all our players, men and women, are all football players. There's not one player that we have that's specific futsal.
Okay. So break it down for me. How it's 5-a-side, right? 4 out players and a goalkeeper. It is different to, for example, major arena indoor soccer. The Kings League in Europe's getting really big as well. I think that's 7-a-side, I believe. This is a very different game.
Yes, it's in a court 20 by 40. It's 4v4. The rules are a little bit different. You have 4 seconds to play the ball every time the ball goes out. Goalkeeper has 4 seconds to play it. You can only go back to the keeper one time. And
one time with possession.
One time with possession. So once you lose possession, you can go back to them. Keeper could come out and play over half, and you can play them like a player.
Oh, so has that changed in with the traditional 11-a-side game? Goalkeepers being much better with their feet, their distribution. Has that changed futsal, or has futsal been the reason for that to change?
I'm not sure, but I know now in futsal there's a lot of 5v4 instead of 4v4 because now keepers are even better with their feet, right? It's a possession game, and the team that's more technical usually wins because they keep the ball all the time. Our players, like after 5-6 passes, the ball goes out. For them, it's like, we have countries, especially on the men's side, that, they can keep the ball for 10 minutes and we're just chasing. So that's the technical side of it.
Who is a superpower at the moment? Who is the top team internationally?
So in the last 15 years, Costa Rica is the powerhouse on the men's side. They do a very good job. I don't know if you guys have been to their training facilities in Costa Rica. They have their football, they have their futsal, they have everything. Their players are futsal players. They're not football players converted to soccer players. So they're pretty good, actually.
Kyt, as far as Canada's concerned, like you've been the head coach for the men's national futsal team now for 10 years, correct?
Yeah.
So you've just recruited Alex DeRocha, whom we both know quite well, really important in women's football in our province here in Quebec. But I know that you've got the inherent challenges with funding and organizing camps and getting players in. But how do you recruit in terms of your players? Because you're saying they're not futsal players, they're not evolving in a futsal league. So how do you peg players as outfield players, and how do you know that they're going to be good on the futsal court? Do you just have to make a guess, or is this just looking at particular attributes or profiles of players, and you know with your experience now that they're going to be good futsal players?
So when we started this 10 years ago and I was coach, Mike Vitulano was also involved. So and slowly we started adding coaches that can help us, that it's from the province of Quebec or across the country. And I was visiting a lot of these provinces before I became assistant coach at the Forge, and just looking at players and looking at our plan on how we want to play, then we had to go with players that are structured, players that played football in an organization that have a structure. And from there, we started selecting profile players that fit the system that we want to play, and that players are coachable to do it. And that's how we do it. But if you ask me, is there a specific futsal player that I'm looking for today? Yes. 10 years ago, I didn't know. But today, I need somebody that's technical and dynamic and is really fast. Those are the three criteria that we need right now. 10 years ago, I did not know who it was.
Is the goalkeeper position the most important position?
You need a good goalkeeper, yes. I think the most important position is your defender. If you think about like a quarterback in football, he runs the plays and he talks the most. So, but yes, you need a good goalkeeper to win some games.
Is the funding currently enough to progress this sport in Canada?
Funding.
You guys want to chip in?
Let me rephrase that. Do you get funding?
You guys want to chip in? We can put together a podcast on our jerseys or something.
Yeah, the big podcast money.
We're in the same boat, Kit.
We have no money, Kit.
No, there's no real funding. Everything we do it through me and the contacts that I've created across the country. If you ask me for the technical plan, then I have to give you my computer, because that's where it exists.
You can't afford Wi-Fi or a email.
So we try to do it like through our computers and through people that we know across the country. A lot of people have helped out, but everybody's doing this on their own time. But hopefully now with what happened, there's gonna be some eyes opening and somebody's gonna sit there and say, okay, maybe we should do this for real. Because we're doing it for events, right? So it's not a national team; it's an event. So we go to an event, and we go to an event. So every 4 years we go to an event. But the results looks that we're so close, but at the same time we're so far.
So Canada Soccer right now, they do provide some monies for you, or not? Oh, we just lost it.
Can't answer that question.
No.
I refuse to answer that question.
I know Canada Soccer, their media channels often report on the result. So they are. Hey, Kit, sorry, we lost you there for a second. So do you get any funding from Canada Soccer?
Yes, we get the funding to travel and to do all that stuff, but not for real camps and anything else. Like before we went to this qualifier with the women, we played one international game against a club 5 days before our first game.
While you were already on site for the tournament?
Correct. We were in Guatemala and we played a club team that we beat 5-0, but it wasn't the competition that we were looking for. And then we got into our first game against Costa Rica. that we lost.
That was the first women's futsal game. Was 5 days before the tournament.
Yes.
There hadn't been any other games.
We played in Quebec against U14 boys. Like that, we get the speed going, but that was it. It wasn't. We didn't have any international games or anything.
It's incredible. Like this is literally a blank slate. Weeks before a World Cup, a CONCACAF Championship, and you throw this group together, and then you win the damn thing. Are you surprised you won it?
On the women's side, I thought we were going to qualify. I didn't think we were going to win. On the men's side, it's a lot tougher. There's more teams. The competition is a lot better. Everybody's been doing it for a lot of years. But physically, all these teams couldn't last against us. And that's where everything changed. After the Costa Rica game, watching it, and we're like, okay, physically, we're going to beat everybody if we stick to the game plan. And I think the girls did a fantastic job listening and getting it done.
Kid, they might be thinking now you don't need funding because you're doing a great job.
That's what I told myself 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
They must have wondered and went, oh shit.
Even with the men's side, we always get to a quarterfinal. So to get out of your group every time you go to a competition when you have no games, no nothing. Yes, sometimes I do think about it, and I probably tell myself, this is why we don't get funding. But you also don't want to go to a competition and don't make it out of the group stage. So we work towards getting there, but like the men, now the women, but with the men, the last 3 qualifiers, we lost to Costa Rica in knockout stage.
Is there money to be had at this point, though? The women qualify, and then the men, if you guys are able to qualify, is there money that's available from FIFA that if you're not going to get it from Canada Soccer to bolster the program and to build it up and to get those development pathways established, does FIFA have funding that you guys can access if you get to the next level?
I'm not 100% sure, but I think FIFA will give some money. The only thing is where is that money going to be placed, right?
Well, I'm going to say with pay equity now in Canadian soccer, maybe you'll have to split that with the men's national team.
Correct. For us, the way this program is built, it's one program. We don't see it as the men and the women. We see it as one program. It's the same staff. We added women coaches for this event, and now we've formed a team that if we ever see a youth team, then we have the people to go and do the youth team. So we don't see it as 2 kyprograms. We see it as one futsal program. And with the little resources we have, we do both.
I see.
Kyt, ever since I met you at the CPL final, I've been wondering about this, and it's a little personal. You spell your name Kyt. What is it short for?
It has
Kyt.
nothing to do with my full name.
What is your full name? I need to know. Say it again.
Kyriakos.
Kyriakos. Okay, I like that.
Which could be kick. So that could be shortened to kick, which is kind of fitting, given the sport. I'll go change your name to kick from now on. Listen, Kyt, thanks so much for this, and you know, it really is a fantastic soccer sports story for Canada. I think that no one knows about at the moment, but we'll do our best to try and get it out there because it's fantastic. And good luck moving forward, and good luck with Forge as well. Got quite the game coming up. Big game coming up on Tuesday, right?
Correct.
Against Atletico. That's going to be an absolute beaut. Looking forward to that one.
Don't you have Halifax tonight?
We have Halifax tonight, yes.
Oh, do you?
Canadian
I
Championship.
see it right here. Yeah. That's right, of course. All right.
You talked about how important the defender position is in futsal. Would Bobby play goalkeeper, defender, or would he be a striker in futsal?
I don't know. Maybe he's a winger.
Kyt, thanks so much, mate. Take care. Drive safe.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Continue
Kyt.
a great job.
See you again soon.
Thanks, Kyt.
Thank you.
Bye, friend.
Bye.
Yeah, I tell you, the more I hear about this story, guys, it really is something pretty great. And again, the general Canadian sporting zeitgeist isn't aware of it. I don't know if they'll ever get aware of it. You know, futsal is such a fringe sport over here at the moment, but it's getting better. But to enter a tournament, as the women did, with like not even a handful of games behind them, and in a football, confederation, and to win it, Craig, I mean, I can't remember. I don't know if there's any precedent for that.
Probably not. We do, unfortunately, in many underage tournaments, go there unprepared. It could be U20 tournament in CONCACAF, and you're playing one game before you're going into a tournament. Meanwhile, the U.S. have been together for a month preparing for the U20 competition. They have more money for those type of things, which is really important. So yeah, there's just a lack of funding and money to go around for all these different programs. It's unfortunate, but it's the reality that we live in.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I kind of had a little light laugh there with that Canada Soccer thing, but you can't really blame Canada Soccer for not funding it properly at the moment, because it's tough to fund all the programs, any program at the moment. The money isn't there. So you're better to focus on programs that can elevate the national program as a whole, the men's, the women's, senior teams, rather than spreading it thin. Let's focus somewhere. I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Jimmy?
No, I agree with you. I think it's a difficult one, for Kyt, for futsal. It's still kind of relatively unknown here in Canada. There is some good leagues in the city in Toronto with futsal. I know Ontario Soccer are going to start making a push to implement futsal and having leagues, which is great. I think we need it. I'm a big believer of futsal. I think it's great for the technical aspect for young players. But I think it's going to be some time before he's actually going to find actual futsal players, and that's what they want to do. I think now with the NSL, the CPL, MLS, like the players are looking at, I think there's opportunity for me to be a professional footballer. And what opportunities, if I do love futsal, where do I go?
Are they professional leagues overseas? That must be professional futsal leagues. Can you make a living playing futsal?
Yeah, they get good crowds. They get good crowds. Yeah, they do pay. But that's the thing. I mean, if you're a young player here, where are you going to go? Yeah, going to play in a couple of leagues here, maybe go for a tryout. It's like the pathway is just not set up right now for futsal players.
But Kyt alluded to it, like in Quebec, in the RSEQ, which is kind of a high school circuit where they play almost intramurals, but it's for elite players. They have futsal programs where it's sports study, so you can do that as a complement to the club that you're signed up with year round, whether you're playing a little bit in kind of like a multi-sport indoor turf place where you're playing 11 aside and you're a little bit older, 13 and up. And then once your summer season starts, then you're sort of released from your school program where you've maybe been honing these more technical skills. And I think Kyt, his full name is Kyt Selaidopoulos. He tipped his hand there that he is Greek before he unveiled his full name, because he kept referring to gyms as gymnasiums, which is I have a lot of Greek friends. This is a very Greek thing to say. They never say gym, they always say gymnasium. But there is precedent for it, unfortunately. They do need more funding, men's and women's, and Kyt referred to it as just a program that has both of these, the women's team and the men's team. In '98, when I was first part of the women's national team, we were a summer program. We got together and we were on the island in Esquimalt on Vancouver Island, or we were in Vancouver, and we got together for a couple of months. That was around the CONCACAF championship for us in order to qualify for the World Cup. And we won it that year in 1998. And it was off the back of very little prep, very little money, staying in dorms, 4 to a room, and we won CONCACAF. So it reminds me a lot of how we toiled back then with very little funding, very little backing. And we had to win in order to get ourselves to major tournaments. And then the funding came. Then the coaches that were renowned came and drew more attention to it. And then everything else on the women's game was built up around it. But futsal right now, and especially the women winning now and surprising everybody, reminds me a lot of over 20 years ago and the women's national team.
That is a good model for sports as a whole, though, isn't it? You win, you reap the rewards. That's the incentive. not just handed stuff. Kind of like that. It's not reality nowadays in professional sports, obviously, but I quite like that. You know, like even from an individual, you know, play, be successful, score goals, get clean sheets, you get bonuses accordingly. Quite like that idea. Maybe we should rebrand ourselves to Futsal Prime, because we are like the futsal of podcasts in many ways. Right? Not enough people know about us.
Unfunded.
Yeah.
Craig will bring the one ball.
I was thinking of the I was thinking of the Cool Runnings movie and the Jamaican bobsleigh, and to your point, them, like, no one knows the story until someone tells the story, right? It's very kind of cool.
It is. Yeah, it really is. I wonder, I mean, if you're a futsal player, say overseas where it's big, at what point in your career do you say, okay, I'm going to go the futsal route, not the 11-a-side route, where there are more opportunities, perhaps more riches available? Because if you have the skill set to play futsal, the technical ability, the quickness, and the speed, you're surely a pretty decent 11-a-side player too. Is it just one of those hard truths you got to face at some point, Craig? Because okay, I'm probably not going to make it to a top league professionally, but futsal is a good option to keep playing football.
Yeah, I think that's the case for some players. I'm trying to remember. There's a guy who played for the Portuguese national futsal team, and he was just lights out, but didn't play an 11-a-side anywhere.
Yeah. He probably looks at the dimensions of the pitches as well. Do I want to play a 40 by 20, or do I want to run on a 120 by 80?
Yeah, it's the reality of the thing might set in as you're aging out, maybe of 11-a-side, where you might have the skill, you might have the quickness. Like Kyt was talking about being dynamic, but it's very different, as Jimmy's saying, on a smaller dimensioned court than being a dynamic player on 120 by 90. Right. And your ability to replicate your aerobic capacity, the mental fortitude, the will to want to do that and to keep yourself in that tip-top condition to be able to do it. So I think it's more nuanced than that. It's not just you don't have the aerobic capacity, so you play in a smaller court. And it's not as reductive as that. But I think that you will find players who have seen success on the 11-a-side, and just the reality sets in that they can't keep up any longer, but their skill set would be put to good use on a court somewhere.
Did you guys
Ricardinho is his name, from Portugal. Legendary futsal player.
Okay. Did you guys ever Did you guys ever play it?
No, we just grew up playing. We played indoor in a gymnasium.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, because indoor is, I don't know, is indoor big still? I don't know if it is.
It's part of the training. My kids all do it. My youngest still does it. He's outside for 3-4 days a week, and then on 1 day a week he's in the gym.
And what's the difference between indoor and actual futsal? It's how many players are there on?
Well, it depends on the gym. It depends on the gym as well, right? A lot of them are in kind of smaller elementary schools, and they'll play 3v3 or 4v4, but they don't follow the futsal rules.
Oh, I see.
Or play with the futsal ball.
No, they do. They play.
I'm just saying here, like, it'll be indoor soccer, and it might be 5v5, but you're playing with a number 4 regular outside ball. You're not playing with a futsal ball.
No.
All right.
How big or smaller is it? Smaller.
The smaller and heavier, so they don't bounce as much as what an outdoor
keeps it on the ground.
Oh, okay.
So it's a fully different ball.
So it's a sport very much played on the deck. You don't get too many headers, for example.
No, but you still see, like scoops and chips and goals from distance and things like that.
So I mentioned that the Kings League in Europe and South America is getting massive. It's a league that Gerard Piqué, I believe, is the guy, one of the players behind it, and that's 7-a-side. And it's we know our boy Kayo.
Yeah, Kayo.
He's involved in it. I'm gonna get someone on that Kings League, because that's a big sport. Like, they get on YouTube, they show their games, they get millions of views, and there's incredible skill.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Sharms, there's some U.S. women's national team players, some current and then some retired, like Kelly O'Hara, have backed something similar for the women's game. Okay. That is going to be worldwide, something similar to that, akin to 7v7.
I know, talking to the Kings League guys, they I think they are planning having a women's division very soon. Right now it's European, right now it's South America, and they have a World Cup coming up this summer, I believe. And it's just fascinating to watch. The skill set is just insane. And it's based around reality TV as well. They get these influencers on there who kind of push the drama behind it. It's such a new concept. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Have you watched any games? Did you see Troy Deeney play by any chance?
Troy Deeney's playing in it?
Oh my God, it was amazing.
He got sent off.
He got sent off. He was just
really?
running over people. Yeah. Have a look.
Oh yeah, that was a shit
Troy,
show.
I don't know who that
Deeney
is.
something,
Who's
man.
Troy Deeney?
Played for Watford for years, and he did some time.
Okay.
He did some time, didn't he?
Yeah.
Jail time. A real redemption story. Played in the Prem, and was a really good player, but a bulldozer of a striker. Built like a brick shit house.
Oh, he's put on a little bit of weight. Yeah.
Yeah. When he played though, he's a big boy though. He's a great.
Oh, yeah.
Look it up. He's done numerous interviews about his life, and his story. It's fascinating actually.
And his weight
Remind me.
gain.
His weight gain.
Yeah.
Hey, he'll fit here perfectly. By the way, Gymnasium was a towering centre back for Torquay United in the 1950s.
Torquay.
Okay, well that was great. I enjoyed that.
So did I.
Anything else you want to touch on before we say adieu?
We said Arsenal. Hey, congratulations, PSG, for making it through
Oh,
the UCL. Well, I don't know who. Like, we don't know who's going to win. You might listen to this before or after.
I know
Who? Okay, let's a couple little. Who are you thinking is going to get through today?
What's the score from the first leg again?
1-0
1-0
right now.
PSG, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's no way Arsenal win that. There's no way.
You don't think so?
They're
I'm
Arsenal.
going to say Arsenal.
Okay.
No, they're going to.
Gregor.
I think PSG is going through against Inter.
That'd be a
Jimmy?
good final too.
I think Arsenal.
Great final.
Oh.
Both. I mean, it would be a good final either way.
Yeah, it would be
Huh?
actually.
We're
I
split.
think everyone's just going to have a great old time on the old pitch, and they're going to hold hands and say, "You know what? Let's call it a draw."
Cross the line together, hand in hand. Well, maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow. But we have, as mentioned, Jesper Sorensen or Jesper Sorensen. Better figure that out before tomorrow, but we will ask him. And like I said, let us know any questions you want to pose to the Vancouver Whitecaps head coach manager. Let us know on the comments. And please, if you're listening to this, by the way, we have started posting the full podcast now as a video on YouTube as well. If you want to see our faces, don't know why you would, but you might. We occasionally will roll in some video too. That will increase in time. But make sure you subscribe to that and give it a whirl. Why not? Some people consume their podcasts through YouTube, apparently. We've been told.
We've been told.
We'll find out. All right.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much. Thanks to Kyt. Cheers very much for watching and listening. No funny comment on the back end.
I always want to say something. I
Zeitgeist.
strain myself. Yes,
Well done, Dubs.
zeitgeist.